Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Arachak, Wadash. Give honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations unto the four elect tabernacle of David that are scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, when you understand this key aspect of the blessing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, this is what you'll need to understand when you read about the mixed multitude, or should I say, the great multitude that could not be numbered in Revelation 7, verse 9 on down. And also, you would also read this same event or about this event in prophecy in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter. And this is one of the ways you can know that even when it says the word Gentile, that it's still in reference to the children of Israel. So once we go over this information, then you can apply this concept to both of those prophecies. Revelation 7, verse 9, 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter, and you can start at maybe around the 32nd verse and just read down. Because they basically had the same vision of this great multitude, this big crowd of individuals that were standing before the Lord. You know, it was a big gathering, a big, gigantic assembly. All right. So let's start with this real quick. This is in the chat GPT. And we all know the answer to this question, but I just wanted a drawn out synopsis, if you will, on this particular concept in the scriptures that, you know, can be drawn from it. And it says, I says, was one of the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is that their seed will become many nations. And it replied back, yes, one of the covenant blessings given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was that their seed, offspring, will become many nations. Now, hold up. You got guys that now say that many nations are going to come and join themselves with the Lord. And that means that these other nations, the actual Gentile nations, they can be saved. They can be joined with the Lord and be partakers of the blessings, right? That means that they're also going to be standing in that multitude, and they're going to be given crowns, palms in their hands, and they're going to be priests. They're going to receive authority. They're going to be joint heirs with Yahushai. They're going to make it through the great tribulation. This is what these guys are saying now, right? So it says this promise appears multiple times in Genesis and is a part of the core Abrahamic blessing. All right. Now let me get a scripture that's not even mentioned in the chat GPT real quick. You know, just to show you that it will be within that chosen line that all people would be blessed, or all the nations would be blessed. It would be through the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's go to Isaiah 61 and start at the 8th verse. And it says, for I, the Lord, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I will direct their work in truth. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles. How did they get among the Gentiles? They were scattered, right? And their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. All right. And one of those covenant blessings was that he would multiply. All right. He would make them as the stars of the heavens. He would make them as the sand of the sea. So he would basically expand the nation of Israel, so they would become a multitude of nations. All right. So it says, let's go to the scriptural proofs. It says, Abraham, a father of many nations, Genesis 17:4-5. You are the father of many nations. All right, which the word Abraham in the Hebrew means Abraham, which means Abba, and then Raham, or Abraham, which means many multitude, father of a multitude. Okay. It says Genesis 17:6. It says, I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you. You're still dealing with Abraham. It says Genesis 22:17-18. It says, your seed will be as the stars and sand, a vast expanding multitude. All right, so this is a key aspect to understanding that great multitude in Revelation 7. If we know that the Lord increased his people, he increased the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then he scattered them across the four winds all over the planet Earth. If he was to recall or regather them into one place, wouldn't it be a great multitude? Yes. All right. Thence Yahushua being the chief shepherd, and the Israel that are scattered and outcasted and dispersed, they would be the sheep that would be regathered by the shepherd. So, keep that in mind, as we get further into this. It says, so yes, God explicitly promised Abraham that his descendants would form many nations. Isaac, the same blessing reaffirmed. And this is why it said in Romans, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. All right. He's the son of Abraham, which Yahushua is also known as the son of Abraham. Right. God repeats the Abrahamic blessing to Isaac. I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. And in your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. And he only had 2 seeds. Which one of those seeds was accounted for the blessing? Which one of those seeds, all right, would continue on that covenantal blessing of being multiplied, becoming great, or becoming a company or a multitude of nations, right? And let's go real quick. Let's go to Second Esdras, the 3rd chapter. This is Second Esdras 3 and verse I'll start at 12. It says, and it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply and had gotten them many children, and there were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. And this is after the flood. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou shewest thy will, and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. Salakia. It says, and unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. So these were the 2 seeds that came from out of Isaac. And we know one of them had to be blessed, right? And this was started that rivalry and hostility between the two when this occurred. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee and put by Esau. So Esau got rejected. And so Jacob became a great multitude. All right. So you see that it's reaffirmed through Isaac down to Jacob, which his name was changed to Israel, Yasharallah. So going back here, it says, while many nations is not directly said to Isaac in the same phrasing as Abraham, he received the same covenant promise, including countless descendants, worldwide expansion, blessing to all peoples. This links Isaac directly to the many nations promise. And here's the third. Specifically, Jacob specifically promised to become a company of nations. Genesis 35:11. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you. This is extremely clear. Jacob, Israel, his seed, one nation, Israel, plus many nations. The phrase company of nations, Hebrew, Quahal, Gawayam, means a gathering assembly of nations, a group of distinct peoples, not just tribes of one nation, but multiple nations. So you see, based on the blessing, that Israel will become multiple nations, right? So when you go to that verse that they're trying to use now, Zephaniah 2:11, Zephaniah 2:10. Salakia, not Zephaniah, Zechariah. Let's get Zechariah 2, start the 10th verse. The point is in 11. And it says, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord, and many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. How are these? But you got people that are getting stuck and stumbling over this just because it said in many nations, as if Israel isn't many nations. That's the blessing going back to Abraham. You see that's why I said this is key to understanding the great multitude, the many nations, and how that Israel can become, or be referred to as Gentiles, because the word Gentile in the Hebrew is goyim, which simply means nation, people group. Israel was a company of people groups. They all came out of one man. All right, that was the blessing, and the Lord wasn't going to abandon the blessing. All right, He wasn't going to rewrite the blessing, to try to add other members to that blessing. The Lord only specifically made these promises to 3 men, and then it would trickle down to their descendants. So when you add these other non-Israelite nations to it, you're basically adding to the word. But you're stumbling over the fact that some of these prophetic implications include words like Gentile, which most people commonly agree upon in meaning a non-Israelite nation. But you got to actually broaden your understanding on that. Know when it's talking about the actual people of Israel, and when it's not referring to the actual nation of Israel. All right. Now, if you got the Spirit, you'll know where it applies. And these Christians don't have the Spirit, and that's why they stumble. And now you got guys in Israel that don't have the Spirit, and they're stumbling over the same thing. All right. So now that we understand that, and that's clear, because there's many more scriptures I can go to. Hold up, let me do this. Yeah, this is Isaiah 26:15, and it says, "Thou hast increased the nation, O Yahweh, thou hast increased the nation. Thou art glorified, thou hast removed it far unto the ends of the earth. Meaning what? He scattered it. He increased it, and then he scattered it among all people. So what happens when they're regathered? The ones that believed, that were obedient all around the world, because they all heard the same message. All right, that's why let's go to Baruch real quick. And this is why they're going to be called and regathered from all directions of the earth, because they were scattered in all those directions. This is Baruch 4. Yeah, Baruch 4, and I'll start at 26. It says, my delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Right? And Israel is known as the Lord's sheep. Okay, they're the lost sheep that have been scattered. They've been preyed. They're people that were preyed upon by enemies. Who are the enemies? The other nations. Okay, look what the Babylonians did. Look at what the Greeks and the Romans did. Look at what the Assyrians did. Okay, it says, be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto the Most High Power, for you shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you, the curses. For as it was in your mind to go astray from the Most High, like a sheep that wanders away from his shepherd, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. And that's across all four corners. That message is across all four corners of the globe. All right, any of our people, wherever they may be, even in the islands. All right, we're in the uttermost part of the earth. We're in the Western Hemisphere, so that definitely applies to us, and that's what we've done since we came into the knowledge. And now we're returned back to the Lord, and now we're seeking him 10 times more. All right, being on fire, being diligent, being obedient. All right, it says, for he that have brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoiced at thy fall. That's these other nations. They made merry and gave gifts one to another. They will not suffer your dead bodies to be put in graves. They say, aha, we have seen it. All right, let our eye look upon Zion. Let her be defiled. All right. It says, miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, these other nations, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. For fire shall come upon her from everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. Oof. Is that going to happen? Is that not going to happen to Babylon? O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from the Most High. Lo, thy sons whom thou sentest away, they come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High. All right, so they're going to be gathered by the word. All right, Yahushua being the word. Okay, so he increased us, and he removed us, far into the ends of the earth. Let me do this. Yeah, this is Isaiah 10 and 22. It says, for though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. Let me jump down here. Genesis 13:16, and I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Numbers 23:10, who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. All right. Deuteronomy 10:22, thy fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now the Lord thy power have made thee as the stars of heaven for multitude. It says Nehemiah 9:23. It says, their children also multipliedest thou as the stars of heaven, and broughtest them into the land concerning which thou hast promised to their fathers that they should go and possess it. And that's also the other part of the blessing, the inheritance. All right, that's not going to be given to these other nations, man. They're not going to. We're going to inherit them in their possessions. We're going to inherit their land. Okay. All their earth is going to basically belong to us. But yeah, we're going to give them, land that they can actually dwell. But we're going to govern them as well. They're going to, like Genesis say, they're going to be vassals under us. But that's after they do that 1,000 years sentence, where we're going to have them in hardcore slavery. All right. Verse Jeremiah 30:19, it says, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry, and I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Okay. And then, of course, he removed that great multitude all throughout the earth, right? All right, we know these scriptures in Deuteronomy. When removed into all kingdoms of the earth, shall be scattered among all people from one end of the earth even to the other. Deuteronomy 32:26, I said, I will scatter them into corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord have not done all this. All right, Deuteronomy 32:26-27. All right, so plenty of scriptures to not only show that we're that great multitude, we're that many nations, right? And that we will also be removed and scattered. Okay. So after the tribulation, this is what he saw in the aftermath. After the tribulation and the deliverance. All right, you read about the 12,000 men out of each tribe of Israel. And then Revelation 7:9, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations. See, it says all nations, so that means everybody, all people of the face of the planet. It says of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So because it says all nations, right? But what did I say would be the key aspect to understanding this? Go back to the blessing of Abraham that was also reaffirmed in Isaac and then in Jacob and his sons. That they would become many nations, a company of nations, a multitude of nations, and they would be scattered all over the face of the planet, right? Let's look up that word multitude. It's a lot. And the word is oklos, and it says derivative of G2192, a throng, as born alone by implication, the rabble by extension, a class of people, figuratively a riot, company, multitude. Let's look up what is a throng. It says a large, densely packed crowd of people or animals. And then it says similar words crowd, mass, multitude, horde, host, mob, assemblage, gathering. Would it not be gathered to me, O nation not desired? It's going to be a gathering. All right. It talks about how the lawgiver shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh come, and to him shall the gathering of the people be. Congregation, crush, press, body, band, army, troop, legion, gang, stream, swarm, flock. Right? He used that word flock. Who was the flock of the Lord's pasture? Who is this flock? The lost sheep of Israel was the flock. Okay? Because they were the ones that were scattered, from mountain to hill. Now, that's why I went here now, because I just typed in one word, shepherd, and all these verses pop up. And when you read all of them, it's all in reference to the gathering of Israelites. All right? Because a shepherd, they basically tend to the sheep. They keep watch over the sheep. All right, make sure that none of them are lost. Okay? So all these different precepts. So anytime it's talking about a shepherd, you have to think about who is this what is the flock that's going to be a shepherd. That's the congregation of Israel, right? I'll read this one. This is 2 Chronicles 18:16. It says, then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return, therefore, every man to his house in peace. A Psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And David, he's beloved of the Most High. All right. And he, of course, he's an Israelite, all right, of the tribe of Judah. Psalm 80, verse 1. A psalm of Asaph. Give ear, O shepherd of Israel, that leadest Joseph like a flock. Thou that dwellest between the cherubim, shine forth. Okay, so these are all precepts that you can go to. All right, so that throng, all right, that flock of people that couldn't be measured or numbered were Israelites that were gathered by their chief shepherd. Isaiah 63:11, it says, then he remembered the days of old, Moses and his people, saying, where is he that brought them up out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is him that put his Holy Spirit within him? Jeremiah 31:10, hear the word, O Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel. So he's saying to you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him. And keep him as a shepherd doeth his flock. Is that not what we see in those visions in Revelation 7 and 9, and then also 2nd Esdras 2, which I'm about to read that as soon as I get through these scriptures. So how are we getting these other nations in that when this is still all referring to Israel? Israel will be that scattered sheep. But they were known as a great multitude, a company of nations, many nations scattered among the heathen nations. But the Lord is going to gather them as a shepherd do his flock. Okay. Ezekiel 34:5, it says, and they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. It became a prey. You know, it was subjugated to enemies. You could read, basically this chapter, and it's going into how Israel would be scattered from mountain to mountain, hill to hill, worshiping idols, and they didn't have no shepherd. The shepherds was too busy feeding themselves and didn't care for the sheep. All right. Ezekiel 34. I'll read verse 12. It says, as a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of the places where they have been scattered in a cloudy and dark day. Verse 23, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. So, I mean, this is, plain as day. Zechariah 13:7, awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And I believe Yahweh Shai quoted that. Okay. And then you got the parable, Matthew 25:32, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. All right, and the Lord's going to gather his elect. Those are the sheep that's going to be, divided from the goats. All right, 2/3 of our people, they're spiritually goats. All right, but if you want to get ethnically, these other nations, all right, Esau, that he goat in Daniel, that clearly starting with the Edomite. Okay. Yeah, the Lord, he's the good shepherd that gives his life for the sheep. All right, so y'all pretty much, you get the drift now. All right. So that brings me to this scripture in 2nd Esdras, the second chapter. So this is 2nd Esdras 2, and starting at verse 33, and it says, I, Esdras, received a change of the Lord upon the Mount Oreb, that I should go into Israel. But when I came unto them, they set me at naught, and despised the commandment of the Lord. And therefore I say unto you, O ye heathen. So the hell with, these guys that know that they Israel. And, you can even apply that to what was happening during the Lord's time in Judea. When you had those of the circumcision, they had trouble believing that he was the Mashiach that would come and die for the people, right? So that we can be adopted again, so that we can be reconciled, that we would be brought to him based on the grace. All right. And that basically we would be justified by our faith. They couldn't accept that at the time. So because they didn't receive Yahweh Shai, but you did have some of the circumcision that did believe and receive Yahweh Shai. All right. But the ones that didn't believe, it made room for the Israelites that were living outside of Jerusalem, that was living outside of the land of Israel. All right. It says, and therefore I say unto you, O you heathen. Basically, in another translation, it'll say, I'm talking to you Gentiles. But this proves right here that this is talking about Israelites. All right, that were like the heathen, scattered among nations that was once serving wood and stone, serving idols. It says that hear and understand, look for your shepherd. He will give you everlasting rest. All right, Shiloh. We're gonna rest. We're gonna be given that rest when he comes in and sets everything up. When he orders the kingdom. That's when we're going to receive everlasting rest. It says, for he is nigh at hand that shall come in the end of the world. Yahushua is going to come back and he's going to, bring down the authority and rule of these other nations so that we can actually rule. And that's when we're going to be resting in our beds. Psalms 149. All right. It says, be ready to the reward of the kingdom, for the everlasting light shall shine upon you evermore. Flee the shadow of this world, receive the joyfulness of your glory. I testify my Savior openly. Oh, receive the gift that is given you, and be glad, giving thanks unto him that have led you into the heavenly kingdom. Arise up and stand, behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord, which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of the Lord. Going back to Revelation, the 7th chapter, all right, which is, you've seen this great multitude, this company of people, in which going back to Jacob, that he will become what? A company of nations. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you. All right. All right. And then you read further down, it says, and cry with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood around about the throne and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped the Most High, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Now let me do this real quick. Daniel's 12 and 10. And it says, I'll start at 9. It says, and he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, because they're going to go through what? The tribulation. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. So it's going to be those whose names is written in the book of life. They're going to be made white. All right. They're going to be purified and made white. So when they come out of that tribulation, that trouble, they're going to be innocent, justified, unspotted, so to speak. No guile found in their mouths. Their faith was tried and tested in the fire of the trouble. All right. And this was going to be a time of trouble such as will never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found in the book. These other nations are not written in the book. Okay. So going back, it says, verse, no, this is in Baruch Salakia. I meant to go back here. Yep. So back in 2nd Esdras 2, it says, verse 40, take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. The number of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. All right. So these people were called from the beginning. All right. Called from the beginning. That means that they were chosen before the foundation of the world. What other nation was chosen before what random heathens were called from the beginning? They were never called from the beginning. The Lord was never dealing with these other nations. So obviously that heathen in verse 34, oh, you heathen, is clearly talking about scattered Israelites. They would make up that multitude that could not be measured nor numbered. Jumping down to verse 42, I Esdras saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praise the Lord with songs. Same event. All right. And thus, when you go to Revelation 5, let's go to Revelation 5 now. It's Revelation 5 and 5. It says, and one of the elders said unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seven seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High sent forth into all the earth. And he came and looked, and he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat on the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. So we're going to be redeemed from among all people, all nations. That would be that multitude in Revelation 7 and 9. And has made us into our God, kings and priests. Ain't no freaking way in hell a Edomite or a Moabite or an Ammonite, all right, a Hamite, a Ishmaelite, a Elamite is going to be a king and a priest in our kingdom. So this is how you know who that's talking about, that great multitude of all nations, kindreds, and people and tongues. And it says, and we shall reign on the earth. And we know that other nations are not reigning with the Israelites on earth. All right. So Revelation 7 and 9, 2nd Esdras 2. All right. That's talking about the Israelites. So even when it says, O ye heathen, this is another way you can prove that Israelites were also called heathen or Gentile as well. All right. And that's why, going back to the beginning, this is a key aspect to understand these prophecies, that Israel would become a multitude of nations or many nations, because we would be multiplied and then scattered. All right. And then when Yahushua would come back as that chief shepherd, he would regather those that were lost, those that were scattered as a flock. So I'm going to end on that note, and hopefully y'all were edified. Call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Shalom.